The Championship is the best league in the world, and here's why. As we approach the halfway mark, there are only 3 points between 6th place Watford and 11th place Reading, and then towards the bottom of the table, in the relegation zone, you've got Wigan in 22nd on 19 points. A win could potentially get them all the way up into 14th. Let's get into my Championship predictions. So the first game of the weekend is on Friday night. We've got Reading versus Preston. Now, Reading started the season off so well with Paul Ince at the helm, but recently the form has dropped off a lot. We look at the recent results. You've got a 0-0 to Luton. It's not a terrible result. Luton are in good form if you look at the form table over the last 10 games. And there's a 2-1 loss to Burnley, but conceded late there. And then Preston are coming into this on the back of 2 wins after their awful result away to rivals Blackpool. So as we look into this game, there's clearly a form team. That's what I'm going to go with, a 2-0 win for Preston. Then we've got the early kickoff on Saturday, Sheffield United versus Burnley. Now, what a big game. Burnley are looking unstoppable at the moment. Now, Sheffield United had an obvious blip and it wasn't looking great. They just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. Since their loss to Coventry, they picked up a draw at home to Norwich and then 2 wins on the trot away to West Brom and away to Bristol City. The last time I saw a player in the Championship I thought is going to go to the absolute top was Arnold Danjuma. Ever since I saw Ndia at my side Coventry when we beat him 1-0, he's a joke of a player. He will be in the Premier League in no time. So I'm going to go with... I'm going to sit in the fence, 1-1 draw. Then next we've got Middlesbrough versus Bristol City. Now, Bristol City are on some of the worst form I have ever seen. It is not going well for Bristol City. Middlesbrough on the other side are coming off the back of a 3-1 away win to Hull, and they are in a similar league position, so that is a massive result for them to get them out the relegation zone. Bristol aren't a pushover. Up until the Coventry game, they scored against every single team they played. Yes, they are not in great form at all, but it could all turn because they're not a bad side. If they get Vyman shooting, they've got Masanogo in the middle, who's a cracking player. I'm going to go with a 2-1 away win for Bristol City. Stoke versus Birmingham. Stoke are coming into this game on the back of a 1-0 away win at Wigan, but before that it was 3 losses in a row. 1-0 to Rotherham, a 2-0 to Coventry, and a 3-1 away to Norwich City. And Stoke have got a fantastic side who should be right up there in the table, but it just hasn't been clicking. Feels like every season Stoke are just not getting the job done. Birmingham are on fantastic form at the moment. In the last 6 games, they've only conceded 2 goals and 1 loss in that. They're coming off the back of a 0-0 draw at home to Millwall and a 2-0 win at home to QPR. So Birmingham are looking good at the moment. They are firing, but again, Stoke aren't a pushover. So I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw. Next game, we've got Swansea versus struggling Wigan. Now, Wigan are there in 22nd, but 1 win will comfortably springboard them out the relegation zone if a couple of results go their way. Now, Swansea aren't a bad side. They've got a fantastic manager who I've rated for a long time. They've got Michael Obafemi and Joel Pirro, who scores for fun. Now, they're entering this game on the back of a 1-0 loss to Preston and a draw to Bristol City. But before that, their form was looking very, very good. And I think for Swansea, they're the sort of team who, they're going to this game, it should be a formality. I'm going to go comfortably 3-1 win to Swansea. Next up, we've got Blackburn Rovers versus Huddersfield. Now, Blackburn, we're looking great, but when they came to my side Coventry midweek, they were absolutely dreadful. Let's just put it there. Now, their keeper, I got a bit of slack on Twitter, but he couldn't catch anything. Any shot that came towards him, he would just parry, he'll just hit it, bounce off, and we get another chance of it. Obviously, they have got Dom Heim at the back, and they did pick up from my team, Coventry. What a player. They've got Ben Brereton Diaz. They've got Bradley Dack in there. They've got some fantastic players. But I'll tell you what, they've got a shocking support, though. They get no numbers. But they are playing Huddersfield here, and I think it's got to be a comfortable 2-0 win to Blackburn I'm going to go for. Next up, we're travelling to the Den for Millwall versus Hull. Now, I went to the Den this season, and it is an absolute dive. Hull are not looking great at all. They are in some very, very, very poor form, picking up only 2 wins out of their last 6 games, including a 3-1 loss in the last game to Middlesbrough, which was a must-win. Now, the thing is with Hull, they haven't got a bad side, but they lose this game and they will go into the relegation zone if a single result goes against them. Millwall as well, they always look a bit of a threat, but they are coming off the back off a 0-0 draw to Birmingham and a 1-0 loss to Huddersfield. An upset. They're currently in 9th, and a win could potentially get them into the playoff positions. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Millwall. Next up at the New York Stadium, we've got Rotherham versus Norwich City. Now, this has got to be a comfortable win for Norwich, surely. Rotherham almost picking up a result at Burnley. Almost. But I feel like with Norwich, they've got to win this game. I'm going to go with a scrappy, but a 2-1 win. Next up, at Vicarage Road, Watford versus Coventry. Come on, City. I will be there. I'm absolutely buzzing with this. I've never been Watford. We played them in the Cup a few years ago. Now, our form is an absolute joke. We've just gone and beat Blackburn Rovers 1-0. Jamie Allen picking up the goal. He's got a couple this season. Watford, they were in some terrible form. They've obviously got a new manager, and since then, it's 3 wins on the bounce for them, including the most recent one, a 2-1 win away to Cardiff. Now, the problem with my team, Coventry, is we are riddled with illness, injuries, the lot. We've currently got a bit of a striker crisis. And then defence-wise, we've just not got many cover. But when we're fine, we can beat anyone in this division. And I'm backing us here. I'm backing us for a 2-0 clean sheet win. Blackpool versus Luton. Now, Blackpool have got the best fans I've seen in the Championship. They have got unbelievable fans. They love Charlie Bettino. Their fans, I can praise them all day. Now, Luton obviously aren't in bad form if you look at the last 10 games. They're coming on the back off, though. No wins in 3 games. I think if you look at the bigger picture for Luton, they're coming in this season, and there's a few questions about them. Can they do what they did last season, getting into the playoffs? And I'll tell you what, it's not been a bad season with them. They're sat in 10th, but a win could potentially get them into the player positions. Now, Blackpool obviously had their manager leave them at the start of the season. They're coming off the back of a 1-0 loss to West Brom, which is a blow to them. Is a blow. Now, they're sat in 16th, but I can't see Blackpool getting a result here. I'm going to go for a 1-0 scrappy win to Luton. 2 more games to go. We've got QPR versus West Bromwich Albion. Now, West Brom were really struggling at the start with Steve Bruce at the helm, but since then, they have picked up a win, but it's 1 win out of 4 games. It's still not looking great for them. You've got QPR who are always looking a bit of a threat. They started this season off so well, and they've fallen off a little bit since then. It's only 1 win in 3 games for them. But at the same time, I can only see 1 winner here, and I'm going to go with a QPR 3-1 win. The final fixture, Sunderland versus Cardiff. I cannot stand Sunderland. No, I was looking at the table, and obviously, they've not had a bad start to the season. They're coming off the back of a win, a 2-0 win away to Huddersfield. But on the table, they are only 5 points above the relegation zone. So a loss here could put them within 1 game. Cardiff, though, they are in horrific form since the loss at home to Coventry. It is just 1 win from the last 5 games. That 1 win was against Rotherham. They're coming off the back of a 2-1 loss at home to Watford. As much as it pains me, I've got to predict here. I'm going to go for a Sunderland 1-0 win. Boys, if you did enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what your results are this weekend. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. Watch another video. Goodbye.